Kaeser, for coming here to us. It's a great pleasure to have you here. We had an interview last year, and it was very interesting what you were sharing with us, and I'm now happy that you will share it also with all the participants here. Thank you very much. Welcome.
Hello everyone, good evening. I just come from the Betriebsräte Conference. I don't know what the English word is, Workers' Representatives Conference in Berlin. Where I was speaking in front of about 800 workers' representatives from Germany, and was quite experienced. So we talked, really? And it was quite an interesting topic because it was about how does a company which is acting in 203 countries in the world deal with the fact that, you know, there is a German group, there's a German responsibility, and that you have 100% German representatives explaining why it is so important that this company is on its global journey. So I'm not sure how it worked, but I made it anyway. So I'm glad to be here. I arrived from India this morning, so I don't know. I just heard about that someone was talking about India. I don't know what he said, but there is a lot happening. A lot happening in India. So maybe this time, Make in India is not only something to talk about, but something which may happen. That's pretty cool. So they just did, they called it demonetization. The Prime Minister said, you know what, why do we actually have 500 rupee notes? Just going to get them all and declare them void from one day to the other. So there's, and then, you know, like 500 billion of US dollars in rupees were, you know, basically returned back to the bank within a few days. So what that does, in essence, is it solves the liquidity issue of the banks on one hand side, and it takes away all that, what people call the black money from somebody. It's actually Black Friday today, I don't know whether you realize that. But the ones who sacrificed Thanksgiving in the United States, today was the time to get shopping. So anyway, that's just about what we are to be doing. I'll go to Saudi Arabia tonight. So it's going to be quite an interesting journey. I'm really glad people are to be here today. Going to talk about something which I always wonder about, making, you know, meaning at work. It took a little while to get it, what actually you know, was meant to be. So I don't know. I was thinking about the new American president when you know, I looked at the theme and the topic. It's been not too long ago that the American people have actually been electing a new president. It's Donald Trump. Maybe some of us have been surprised. Maybe even some of us have not actually been really amused. But you know, he won. Because a democratic people, amount of people there have been voting for him. The question is, how come? Because he liked women? I don't know. Maybe he liked the Mexicans? Maybe not exactly because of that. But what he really did well, he was actually making his campaign with purpose. And that purpose, time and again, was about make America great again. It was about make America great again, no matter what he did, no matter what he said, no matter what the theme and the topic was, and we may or may not agree to the approach and the theme and any other matters, but he relentlessly was sticking to the purpose, make America great again. I hope he will. But it was important, and it mobilized over 15 million American people to go to vote and vote for Mr. Trump. The question is, you know, why does that actually matter? Well, it does, because without the purpose, everything is nothing. It just does not matter. There is no purpose, there is no goal, there is no vision, and there is no nothing. And there is no meaning at work. If work does not have a purpose, there is no meaning to go there. When I looked at the conference program while I was driving here, I almost stumbled over a quote, and it says, and I quote, "Research shows that 87% of the workforce doesn't perceive work as a meaningful thing." 87%. Means 9 out of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're the first one to believe it makes sense. Statistically. That's amazing. And 58% of the workforce still continue to quote, prefers a more meaningful job to a higher salary. Not everyone is a CEO of a big company where salary is, yeah, okay, but that's not better in a way anymore. So how come? Why is that? And that's a very meaningful and important topic, and I thought by myself, that is true. Man, if you lead a company with about 360,000 people worldwide, maybe it's a good idea to kind of think about what actually is the purpose of that company. What is it that makes people go to work every day? What is it that makes them get up in the morning although they are still tired from the work today or probably even now? What is it that makes them give their best when they go to work? And do it time and again, and time and again, and time and again. Although they might have some managers who really don't deserve to do it. That's a very important topic. The question is, what is the purpose of a company? And why is that so important? Of course, the business has an obligation to make money, especially if you go, by the shareholders' intent. Some people even say, the business of a business is business. There's a very famous man who said that. Not exactly sure where that covers the whole story. Yeah, the business of business is business. But the question is, who actually makes the business a great business? What is it? Or maybe even, who is it? Because at the end of the day, this is all about people. And it's all about people because it's all about society. It's about the societal purpose a company gives. And if you go a bit further, then honestly, a company which does not serve society should actually not exist. And if we had taken that into account, if the global world would have taken that as a serious task, maybe even as a purpose, then we would not have had those financial crises starting in 2008, and maybe even being initiated way earlier, because not necessarily the causation was the financial crisis, companies not serious. Companies got to serve society. Of course you've got to make profit. Of course you've got to be successful, because if there is no profit, if there is no success, there is no money which we can redistribute and help the other stakeholders come along. So in the end, this is about business to society. Sometimes people ask me, what is Siemens all about? Well, there's not too many people who don't know about the company, good or bad, but they pretty much know them, but still sometimes they ask. Are you B2B? Yeah, of course, we are business to business. Not exactly B2C, which would actually be the other way. But there's the third one, and then sometimes I call it B2S, business to society, and I always make sure that I don't forget the two in the middle, as you can imagine. And I really believe a company has to have a purpose, and that purpose actually ought to be creating value for society. So it is about the topic, what impact do we do? What impact does my company do to society? How many jobs do we create? What impact does the business have on the environment? And at the end, how does my company, how does our company support the sustainable development of a country as well as the planet? Those are the kinds of questions I think we ought to ask ourselves time and again if you think about meaning at work too. The question is, how can we actually do it? How can we actually execute that this business to society really works? There's four, maybe there's more than four, but I actually have four steps which I believe are important to that approach. First, it's the topic of focus. Just be very clear what is the focus, where are we good at, what should we do because we believe we can do it and achieve. What are the goals that we can achieve to help society improve? And the second topic, of course, is, and you know that, of course, it is about measuring. What are the KPIs that are relevant? How do we make sure that we do measure it and are clear about how far we are and that we have achieved what we were planning to achieve? Number three, the topic of, and that's not that simple. Number three is the topic of prioritization. This is the cornerstone, the inner core of management. Prioritize. Every day, every week and every year, every month, all the time we need to prioritize. Understand what is first, what is second, what is third. And what is it that I can do because I need to allocate my resources well. People who don't focus, who don't prioritize, those companies don't exist for long. Is it simple? No one said it. It's very hard to prioritize because everyone wants to give his or her best. So why creating winners and losers? Why prefer the ones over the others? It's not really that simple, but it needs to be done. And I come to that a bit later when you talk about how we can do it to make it meaningful to people. The fourth, as always, not that simple either, is the difference between talking and doing. Acting. Executing on what we said we will do. Very important, what are the decisions which we made, how do we execute, how do we make sure that we take people along, that they're all, in the end, are up for the same goal. It's really important. How do we engage all the stakeholders, that they move along with us? A couple of weeks ago, actually last week, there was also in Saudi Arabia, and we had the so-called MISC forum, MISK forum. It's very interesting. Saudi Arabia, they have their Vision 2030, where they want to kind of transform the kingdom to a time after the oil, so to speak. Which is, I guess, the right thing to do. And so I was talking in front of a large crowd about, guess what, future. So what is it that we can do, what needs to be done to support the Vision 2030, and what can Siemens do, and all that good stuff. It was about 1,200, 1,500 people. There was a wall, not between the US and Mexico, which is still to be built. There was a wall between female and male. Of course, I knew what I should have known, but when I went on stage, I was somewhere in the back stage, getting my makeup and crack. I went out and I looked at this. Right in front of me, there was Bill Gates talking about the Gates Foundation and giving back and this and that. Philanthropy. And then I went on stage, and it took me a little while, honestly, to kind of, okay, I'm here, so do I need to look left because they're a female girl or not, or should I address them or maybe not? I had no clue, it was so odd. I thought, man, this is something which people are not used to. It took me a little while to kind of get over it, and but still, interestingly then, about 80% talked about half hour, and then about 80% of the questions for the next half hour, there were a lot of questions and interactions, about 80% came from the left-hand side, from the female side. It was really interesting, I have to say, very engaged, very eager to make a difference, to get out of this, traditional role of just having nothing to do, nothing to say, nothing to... So it was very encouraging. It was very encouraging. And if you look at Saudi Arabia, when they have a huge issue, 50% of the 50% of the country's population is without a job. 30% youth unemployment, 30. And then the share of foreigners working there in the oil and gas industry, typically or tourism, that's just about what they have. 95% are foreigners. Especially in a technical environment. 95%. So the task is how to transform that into a self-contained, a modern, innovative society. And over about 430,000 young people graduate from high school and university every year in Saudi. And about 80 to 85%, that's what people said, are lacking the technical skills which are actually needed in their industry. The question is that a focused way of developing a society? Well, absolutely not. The good news is Saudi, the kingdom, has realized it. They do this by 2030. And one of the top topics on that Vision 2030 was about, believe it or not, education and training. And that's where we came in actually pretty big. Not so much as Siemens, but as a representative of the German companies. Because what they really are after is this combination of practical and theoretical training, vocational training, and we actually agreed that we are going to create a 250 people kind of university in Saudi Arabia, sponsored by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where we are going to train people based on that model, and then actually train a trainer so that those trainers can again train young people to get it done. So that's actually not all that bad. That was really cool. We do it in Daman, which is the centerpiece of oil and gas industry, because it's the headquarters of Saudi Aramco, the largest oil and gas company in the world. They do about revenues per day, and it's calendar day because it's hard to stop the work, coming out $1 billion every day. And talk about it, man, that's like, it feels like a startup with some 80-90 billion revenues every day. That's a lot of money already, because if you calculate about 80-90 billion by day, it's about 270-280 billion a day. So it's quite a sizable company, but they do billion. Was not that bad. So the question is, what's next, and what's next, and what does that mean for Siemens? And this whole matter, if you look at the company, it's around now for 170 years. 170 years, they're celebrating the 170th birthday of the company. Next year, we are celebrating the 200th birthday of Emerson Siemens, exactly this year. We're going to have the birthday party next week up in Berlin. That's where everything started. And he was also that person who just believes in technology, who believes in purpose. He at that time said already, in our company, technology needs to serve people and not the other way around. He believed in it and he walked the talk. He just did what he said he would do. And that's very important, very important. Interestingly enough, at that time he said, we actually should free up our people, our valuable resources, from repetitive tasks. But at the time, repetitive task was like Charlie Chaplin, that modern times. Today, freeing up qualified labor, is about having stuff been done by robotics. So actually, time repeats itself, and history does too. So we'll see how it goes. Today, about 170 years later, with our vision, we are a bit more short-term minded than Saudi Arabia is. With our Vision 2020, we exactly are renewing our Vision 2020. That's what Siemens is up to today. Be a member of the society, be successful, drive innovation, and, of course, also integrate all those things, which actually has made Germany great as the world war. Many of you haven't even been there at the time, probably either one of you. Maybe a few, one, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know, quality, the spirit for innovation, trying something out, this way of being responsible, helping people along. That's what used to be made in Germany. This engineering task, this glorious ideas of genius innovation. And that's what we've been trying to put together, what Siemens is all about. That's why we call it the purpose of what we want to do, making real what matters. Ingenuity for life. We got a lot of criticism about that addition, Siemens Ingenuity for life. Well, ingenuity, in French it means a bit, a bit naive. Well, if they had looked it up in the right way, they would have found out it's different. It was close, but not the same. But anyway, what was the purpose of it? What was the purpose? Ingenuity, engineers, this genius way of innovation. And then the uity means society. Purpose for society. That's exactly what we wanted to do, and that's what we need to get inspired every day. But then, purpose is good, purpose is great. The question is, how do we act? How do we take that along? How do we convince the 360,000 people on this planet that this is the right thing to do? What is that purpose? What is it that makes people go and identify themselves? That they understand they're all in for this together. How do you do that? 360,000 from gas turbines, which are just about as heavy as an Airbus 380, and could serve a city like Hamburg or Berlin together, but only as long as the Berlin airport isn't ready, because then they need more power, and then we have a second turbine. But until then we could do this. All the way down to small circuit breakers for a few pennies along the way. So what is it that unifies a company? It is something to strive together for. It's really, really important. And sometimes when people ask me, what is it? What is it? What holds us together? And I tell them, look, it holds us together if we all act as if that was our own company. And they go, okay, what do you mean? I say, well, just act as this was your own company. And if your boss isn't there, just do it. If your boss cannot help you to move along, then do it as if that was your own company, and you'll be fine. And if something goes wrong, the boss could intend, and you'll be okay. But if you do not ask your people, your friends, your colleagues, if you don't know how to do it, then you are in trouble. Because in this great company, somewhere, sometime knows something about what needs to be done. That is really important. Because if you look at owners of a company, if you look at a family business, any family business, you clearly know who the owners are, right? So in the morning you have a management team meeting, managing board meeting. For lunch you probably have your supervisory board meeting. And then maybe for dinner, if need be, there is the annual shareholder meeting. And you straighten everything out by sitting together, eating, drinking, smoking, and then discuss what needs to be done. And the next morning everyone knows what to do, goes out and does it. Just does it. That's a family business. And owners care. They are responsible because what owners want to do, what a family business wants to do. They receive the business from their parents, and their intent is to give away a better business to the next generation. It's a very natural thing. So you don't need to talk about sustainability and long-term thinking and acting and purpose and this and that. It's very natural. It's built into that purpose. Now think about a company like us, or any company on the stock exchange, anyone, with a huge free float of shares. Anyone. Well, who are the owners? Who are the owners? Don't know. No.
The employee shareholders.
Shareholders, first of all. Shareholders of the company. Now in big companies which are listed in indices, those are professional stock managers, fund managers, right? Fidelity, Union, Allianz, global investors, what have you. Big, I haven't forgotten anyone. Okay, so what is the primary purpose of an owner? Care about the company, long-term orientation, don't go for the short-term money. Okay? Yeah. So what is the primary purpose now of a fund manager who just happens to have gotten 100 grand from you because you just got that from your parents? What is that primary purpose? Making more money, good investment, good return for the ones who gave you the money, because that's your primary purpose. If you don't get that one, you get fired. Or don't make the money, you go. So what happens is, the purpose becomes a tool. The purpose becomes a tool for a different purpose. So can you expect sustainability? Can you expect long-term thinking? Can you expect long-term caring about stakeholders and people and employees? Well, actually not. Of course not. Sometimes I buy stock because I think that's an opportunity, undervalued or this or that. And then if the stock goes up 20-30%, I sell it. Do I care about this long-term future of that company? No, I don't. Absolutely not. Why should I? It is not my purpose. And this is something we always need to keep in mind when we think about who actually should care about the long-term development of a company. Who is it? And that's very important. And this is also what ownership culture is all about. Make your people, make your employees an owner of your company. Make sure that they get equity. Not just for the purpose of retirement later on, which is also an important one, because today's, the government welfare and the retirement plan is absolutely no way that it works. There's no way that people, can survive with that stuff they get from the state insurance. There's just no way. Demographics is only one area where you can predict the future really well. Because if you are 25 today, you're going to be 26 next year. Reasonably certain. And so demographic works. So we need to have this sort of also retirement thing, and this is what shareholding is also about. The intent of the shareholding in the very beginning was that, people who could not afford to buy a company or to found one, that they also benefit from the profitability of the company. That's where shareholding started. That's the whole purpose. Today we have derivatives and synthetical, this and that, everything else. Because brainy people were looking at efficiency. And they found it. Of course they did. But ownership, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bit different. And that's why ownership needs to also make work meaningful. That closes the loop back to meaningful work at work. And it matters. It matters because we are just on the verge of the next industrial revolution, which people call 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution. The first one would be the mechanization, the second one the electrification, number 3 was automation, and now is what we call the so-called Internet of Things. So the Internet reaches the industrial world. Digitalization is nothing new. It happened already 10 years ago. That's not the point. The point is that the laws of the Internet, the characteristics of the consumer Internet reaches the industrial world. It just happens to reach manufacturing, happens to reach engineering, and that just happens to be 70% of the global GDP. 70 of the global GDP. So it is not about the bookstore, which got wiped out by Amazon in the beginning. It is about a meaningful societal global challenge. 70% of global GDP from manufacturing and associated factors with that. So if something happens there, it better happens well. And the Internet is very simple. You've known that all along. The Internet cuts out the middleman, the weakest link in the value chain. Because the Internet is about efficiency. So efficiency cuts out the weak links in the value chain. Unfortunately, it just happens to be that this could be people. people like us here in Europe. And this is really something which we better think about what that means. Because if you only have a 20% productivity increase on 70% of the global GDP, hallelujah. If you don't do this well, you've get the next civil war, but only differently. And if you look today what happens in this world, and I was starting out with Donald Trump, and I'm not saying he is one, but he maybe could have been one. What are the three major challenges of this society going forward? Well, everyone has his or her own opinion about it, and you should. Because you need to set your own priorities for your own life. Because you have to deal with it one way or the other. To me, first, it's the rise of populism all over the world. That's not just about the United States. It is everywhere. It's in Germany, it's in Turkey, it's everywhere. Rise of populism. Second, the global migration. It has only started with people in Germany believe this is a crisis. Well, then you better watch out. And number three is what I just said, Internet of Things, or 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, affecting 70% of the global GDP. It's a good thing for the one who wins, but it's not such a good thing for the one who are being left alone out in the cold. 1-0, 1-0. Digitalization. In, out, in, out. The value chains will be massively rearranged. Our customers might become our competitors because they grab our value chain. Just to be sure they're not the weakest things. We may as well go after our customers. Maybe our customers are way different next time. Our suppliers are going to go after our lunch because they don't think they are the ones who should give. It's going to be a massive redistribution of the value chain. That's what we have in front of us. Think about the car industry in Germany. Kind of madness, right? It's not about diesel and fuel versus e-mobility. Not really. Changes already a lot because, you know, if you have an electrical motor which replaces the current motors, you need about 1/8 of the workforce to get this one done. So 7/8 are already gone. But still, the business model is the same. All you do is just drive your car, you still worry about, you know, getting insurance right, you still, you know, are annoyed about traffic jam because you are traffic jam, but this is always like the others. Still the same stuff. All differences, you know, the car is, you know, different. It doesn't, you know, need a lot of diesel anymore, but it consumes a lot of electrical power. But it's still the same business model. You own a car and drive the car from place A to place B. The real change is about when people do not use a car anymore for themselves. Because they don't want to have the hassle about owning this car and then, you know, find a parking spot and insurance and then the garage and then this and that and everything else. And that's not wanted. All they want, go from place A to place B. That's all they care about. And in between, hopefully, you know, they have time to do the internet, to chat to friends, to go to work, to do anything, what they like to do. Control their own destiny. This one is going to change. Because a car today has an average utilization. What do you think? Well, 8%. 8% is an average utilization of a car in a car's lifetime. This is what the internet is going to go after, because this is what everything is all about, going after efficiency. And if you only bring it up to 16%, you're just going to cut the car industry in half. That's in essence what we do. And this is not going to happen if we do not have an inclusive way to society. And this is why we have to have that purpose at work to make it work. There's a lot about studies, McKinsey, you know, that studies, there's two segments emerging, the haves and the have-mores. Nicely said. The haves, they say, are possessing digital skills, but can no longer keep up with the pace of innovation. What is that all about? I mean, If you have the skills and can't keep up, then you don't have the skills because other people have them. Come on. It's just a nicer way of describing the issue which we have at hand. And that's good, because they are consultants, they need to be nice to everyone, right? And the others, they say, is the have-mores. The have-mores are the masters of the universe, that's how they call them. But they are the masters of the universe, and they are probably the ones who found that new business model. They are probably the ones who are the winners of the change of the value chain. Amazon, I mean, they have been creating thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. But then they've been replacing half of that value chain. The bookstores on the corner. Not sure whether they like them. They create a lot of jobs, but they have already also been destroying a lot of jobs by making it more efficient. We like it, of course, but the ones who've been affected like it not. And today, Steve Kaeser is after drones. He is developing drones. Okay. You think because he likes to fly? Or he is that, you know, that young boy in the innovative man who wants to play? No. He's got 29% of his value chain which he does not control. Those are the physical world of transporting the persons. And this is what he's going to be after. He's going to be creating another thousands and thousands of jobs. And the flip side of that coin are the jobs of DHL, Deutsche Post, and what have you. That's how it goes, and this is what we need to be mindful about. And that's how we need to look forward also into the future. And be inclusive of society. Find a way to help them along without slowing down, because if we slow down, everyone else will be after us. This is why this is so important, and that's why our mission at Siemens is exactly that. Electrify, automate, and digitize the whole world in the electrical field, but then also make sure that this transformation in the electrical world is being inclusive with all our people. And be prepared, prepare our people for what is coming. Well, you could say, well, we are big, we are really big. I mean, not Saudi Aramco, but still really big. So is size something which matters? Yeah, maybe a little bit, because, you know, dying just takes a little bit longer. Because we've got some money for restructuring and social plan. Do we need to be fast? Like running really fast and or be all over the place? Well, if you don't know where you're going, you just arrive at disaster earlier. So do we predict the future? Yeah, yes we can, but maybe we don't know. Because there's competitors, there are regulators, there's everyone around us. So what is it that makes us fit for this future? It is about this adaptability. It is about a culture of adaptability where we are mindful time and again, every day look what happens in the regulatory field, in the competitive area, in the innovation area, what happens in ourselves. And this adaptability, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the winning formula. We cannot predict the future, but we can adapt to it very quickly and do the right thing and be just a little better, just a little faster, just a little bit more mindful than the others do in the competitive space. And this is the story of an incumbent. So why does an incumbent matter? Well, the incumbent matters because he or she, their company, sits there and has got the business. That's the good news. Bad news is they've got nothing to win but all to lose. That's the incumbent. And history tells us in almost every paradigm shift which we have experienced so far, the incumbent did not survive. And almost every paradigm shift, the incumbent did not survive. The only one big company I know about is IBM. They survived it once from the mainframe to the PC. They even survived it kind of in the second time from the PC to a more open area, decentralized. by understanding, well, there's got to be someone in the middle who integrates everything, middleware. And now the middleware is gone because we've got Internet of Things, data analytics, cloud computing, now what? So we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. But wait, I tell you a story on incumbent. It's not too long ago. There was a few men, must have been in the early 80s, with a few men from the west coast of America coming to Siemens Hofmannstraße. That was the universe of the telecom world at the time. Thousands of people, I think 10 or 11,000 in the high time of telecommunication at Siemens. A young man coming and say, hey, we're going to tell you about something because we believe you have a very good idea. Like, a very good idea. Okay, so our people said, okay, fine, you've got 30 minutes, tell us what it is. And I said, yeah, well, you know, we probably think that this whole digital switch may actually go away and we can make phone calls over the internet. Well, didn't last very long. You know, people said, you know, never, ever think about it. It never works. And if it had worked, we would have invented it already. Just go to hell. And so they went back, not to hell. We actually went to hell, but just a little later. And they went back there and found someone else to invest in their company, back to San Francisco, and they have even, you know, this little gate bridge in their company logo. It was Cisco. Cisco guys wanted Siemens to participate in their startup funding so that they could actually change the world. They did it without us. And that's the story. And there's actually 3 and then I'm going to be done with it because I don't want to waste the time for too long. This is a very, very bad story. It's about reputation, it's about pride or the lack thereof. But it's first and foremost, it's about arrogance. So lesson number 1, never be arrogant about anything. Second, never underestimate the power of innovation and even disruptive change in the business model. Never underestimate it. This is really, really important to do. Third is, and this is not that simple, just listen carefully. Listen carefully so that you can separate the noise from the signal. There is a lot of noise out there today about fintech. There's a lot of noise out there about new startups on the internet and data analytics and what have you. A lot of noise. And probably 95 out of 100 of those startups, of those, what do we call them? Anyway, you know, those hopefuls. Unicorns, call them unicorns, the billionaires, right? Exactly, the valuation, the unicorn. There might be 100 unicorns out there, maybe 50. Let's assume 100. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. When we come together again, maybe in 5 or 10 years, 95 of those hundreds are going to be gone, they're going to be forgotten, they're going to be laughed about. But those five will have changed the world. So we need to see where the signals are and how we do it. So for us, as a company with 360,000, some 80+ billion euro revenues a year, has been incumbent for 107 years. The question is, oh man, you know, what we are going to do? How do we bring that spirit into such a company? Where everything, you know, is regulated by about 1,200 corporate circulars. How do we get this spirit of a founder into a company? It's not that simple. Many of my colleagues from German tax companies, you know, they buy a ticket from Lufthansa if they fly. And, you know, book a trip to Silicon Valley, go a rental car, or have a driver, drive them down, you know, drive them down one oneself, have a few meetings, go back up and fly home, and then say, oh man, you gotta do something now, you gotta do something for Silicon Valley. It's so important. That's one way to do it. And then sometimes, you know, they put on their sneakers with a new color and say, you know, been in the Silicon Valley, now it's all different. What's typically happens is people say, what the hell is going on? So you actually have a lot of confusion everywhere. That's one way to do it. You steer it up. That's the good news. But if you don't have an answer on why that is, what the purpose for that is, people are going to just laugh at you. And the good ones may even think, you know what, actually, I don't know, this is a company which works for me at work. So how are we going about it? I lived in the Silicon Valley for almost 6 years, so at least that one I know a little bit, and sometimes I tell them, I said, look, why didn't you take Highway 1 back from San Jose to San Francisco instead of 280? You would at least have seen the nice ocean and a few nice rocks. And it's not just see the retail version of startup companies, how they're being managed. Well, so how do we try it? I have no idea whether it works, but we try it anyway. We founded a company, in the company was called Next 47. Next 47. It took us a little while to find the name. It was a bit better this time than with healthcare, but we tried it anyway. Next 47. So what is that all about? Well, 47, remember 170 years, 1847, the company was founded, 1847, next 47. Next time we are founding something big. That's the aspiration. Get something big. Over it, that's what the aspiration should be. So we have this next 47, it's a company in a company. Every startup can join from third party, they can join and work there. Our employees, if they have a good idea, they can go come together as a team, say, this is my business plan, that's my idea, get me the money, and if you get me this and this and this, you get that and that and that. And then we start. They are not members of Siemens anymore. They are members of Next 47. We do an equity agreement together. If your business works and goes up, it's going to be valued, you're going to be making much more money than the CEO of this big company. And you know what? It's great, because we own typically between 60 and 80%. So what's wrong with making people millionaires if it's also good for the company when we do that stuff? So that's what we do. Everyone is welcome. Our own people can do it because if they can do it at work, they can do it there. So why do we think it could work? Well, first of all, it's new that our own people can join. And there's a lot of good ideas of a lot of good people in that company. Secondly, why should a startup from Berlin or Munich or anywhere come join Siemens Next 47 if they can have it anywhere, because there's a lot of money around to be invested? Well, there is actually one prerequisite, and there's actually one real benefit. The prerequisite is that we in Siemens shield this Next 47 for the big corporate machine. You know, those 11 or 1,500 corporate circulars do not apply. Those thousands and millions of processes don't apply. This saying, this is all forbidden, this is all prohibited, doesn't apply. If you make a mistake, well, you are not going to be promoted, but you're not going to be fired or blamed in front of the whole team. So why join? Well, think about a startup. You've got a great idea as a startup. Okay? Really cool. You start, doing your stuff. You have a few customers already. I got really big customer. That just happens to sit in Australia. Darn, if you only had that opportunity to get the meeting with that big customer in Australia. Well, as a startup, did you find out where that is? Did you get the meeting with those important people to present your idea, your product? You may just not get anywhere because no one cares. Well, Siemens just happens, to be known in Australia. We call the country CEO and say, hey, I've got those people here, I can send them over. Can you make a meeting with those customers and have them explain that stuff? I guarantee you, that door is going to be open. Don't underestimate the power of a sales channel, because that's about scaling up from great ideas, small business to big business, and scale-up channel. First one. Second topic, another example. Great startup again, really cool, great idea, software company. And one day, in the morning, it's going to be a DHL guy coming, has a sealed copy of a letter, and sign it, and think, man, maybe that's the first customer order, really. And you open it, and it says, law firm XYZ from the United States, Washington, D.C., typically that's where we are, 500, 600 euro an hour, those big law firms. saying, well, we represent the client XYZ, that could be Microsoft, Cisco, anyone. It just happens that you're in violation of our patents Act 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, filed at District Court of Columbia, and this and that. And if you do not repeat your product within 3 days, we're going to take legal action. Happens almost any venture capital firm which owns companies which are getting involved in such a fight. Don't miss that one. Well, in Siemens, it just happens that they have about 239 IPR lawyers. Now you can tell me there are way too many. Maybe they are, but we have them. And then maybe we send a few over there and say, you know what? You're going to get that bastard. So pop them out. And this is a massive benefit, using what a big company can do and stay away from the bureaucracy, the process orientation of that big conglomerates. That's the idea. And we mean it, we are serious, because we said we are going to spend €1 billion in the next 5 years for that enterprise. €1 billion. 1,000 million euro. For the ones who believe Deutschmark is going to be back anytime soon. 2,000 million Deutschmark. That's next 47. And that's, honestly, does it work? I have no idea. Is it worthwhile trying? Absolutely. And that's why we did it, and that's why we believe this is also meaningful work at work. It has a purpose, it has a vision, it has a spirit, and, as in German, it has an intent. And the intent is not make Siemens great again. Not only great, the intent is make Siemens a real cool company. That's what it is. Thank you very much. I know I've been talking much longer than I thought.
Very thrilling story that you told us. And actually I have a question at the beginning, because I mean you told us about Siemens and Next 47, and you said, okay, in Next 47 they are the ones that do not want, or they are shielded from these very complex processes, from this culture where you are not willing or do not dare to speak up to bring new ideas. So the question is, how can you convey meaning in the, let's say, in the existing organization? Do you think that there's also a possibility to make that what you described as hindering, this purpose-driven business less?
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a really bad thing to have a process-oriented company. The issue is that creativity and learning by mistake and just trying everything out and not having a legacy is just different than running a company where mistakes can be made, but you still have to make sure that this is going to be gone. I mean, startups, as I said, maybe 95% of those startups are gone. Just don't have to decide to sit. Just assume that 95% of those startups are going to be gone, and 5 change the world, right? So this is a massive failure rate, and that's okay for startups. But we can't afford as a company to have 95% of mistakes we make every day. Only 5% would be a real problem on that. So we basically need to have a company being run by processes, by efficiency, by orderly fashion, internal controls of financial reporting. Remember 10 years ago, just about 10 years ago, this, the biggest corruption crisis ever known in the industry after World War II, that was discovered by Siemens, or at Siemens, unfortunately not by Siemens. So that basically means, you've got to have your controls, you've got to have processes, because if you have 80, 90 billion revenue, 360,000 billion, there's got to be some sort of understanding on how we do things, right or wrong. We still need to speak up, we still need to be open as a culture. But there's different rules than a startup. And that's why I guess we need to just do it.
So it's more or less two different
worlds,
systems, and both have their meaning.
It's two different worlds, and there are things which can be used by the others. There are things which the startup community can use from Siemens to go to market, sales, IPRs, technology rights to use, legal defense, sometimes even someone who knows how to do accounting right, and that type of stuff. But the difference is the startup people ask the company what they need, and not the company tells the startup people what they need. That's a big difference. And so that's, I think, what we want to try out and see how it works and what it works. And I will see.
So now we have the opportunity to ask Joe Kaeser a question or give a comment. Who will it do?
Hi, Stefan, student from CTM. I'm just wondering what gets you up in the morning? What is your purpose? Why are you getting up? Is it just because you have stakes in the company, or why are you doing it?
That's a good question. I mean, what gets me up in the morning is because I care about my people. Look, I've been in a company for 36 years. Today, it probably doesn't happen, that type of stuff. So I've learned the hard way from the very beginning, almost everywhere in the world, a lot of functions. I've seen people come and go. I saw promises broken, promises made. I saw people who were winning, who were losing. And I always saw those people who were trying to give their best for their company. And you have a responsibility to show them the way. Just can't then leave them alone there and say, well, go ahead, tough luck. I've got my money, so who cares? And this is something which also is a purpose. You care about the people. You show them the way, and you are the first one to go. And it is very important. In the time when we took the Vision 2022, there was a massive change, the biggest reorganization of this company in the last 25 years. And it was important to do it. And there was a lot of criticism about a lot of things. You know, that doesn't work, and this is bad, and there is an issue here, and Siemens bad, and here and there. But I knew that needed to be done. So I needed to be in the first row. And I need to carry the fact that I believe this is right, and I take responsibility, and I was the first one to be here. So if you want to criticize my people, you start with me, and don't go to the others. And this is where you need to be there. You run an issue, and the risk that people say, well, this is the guy, he wants to do everything, King Joe, remember, Manager Magazine? This is not about wanting to do everything on controllers. This is about, if things go tough, you've got to show your face. If things go complicated, you've got to protect yourself. And if there is no job anymore for some, you've got to go there and say, hey, look, I'm here for you. This is the reason why it doesn't work. This is the options we have. This is what we can do together. And you are not going to walk alone no matter where we go. They may not help them because the job is still lost. But they say, you know what, he cares, he's there, he took the time to be there, and we to find an option in a new way. And that's what you really need to do. So that if things go really well, like a few quarters now, that we outperform our competitors, where we, people say, man, this really works well, and the Siemens share price goes up, and the media are like, oh, it really works, really cool and great. Then you say, then what you then need to do, you go backwards. You say, you know what, actually I didn't do anything. That was my team. That was a great teamwork. And he and she and her were the ones who did. That's then the time that you go back and let the team shine. Is it always simple? No. But that's what you need to do. And that goes back to the question that kind of gets me going in the morning. I'm so tired sometimes, I think, man,
so sometimes it's the alarm clock that gets you going.
Yeah, most of the time it's the alarm clock, because sometimes I don't even know where I am. So I need to kind of think about, and then, yeah.
You have another question.
Hi, my name is Kiara. I'm also at CTM, and I'm also proud to be a working student at your company as well. I had a question regarding, as we talked before a lot about meaning, a lot about change, and you about very unique position that you could have an influence or change and doing good and having impact in the world. And I was wondering, for yourself, what do you think is one of the major realistic changes that you would like to see yourself and also Siemens make on the world in the next couple of years or for
So what changes I would like to see? You mean?
Yeah.
Honestly, what I would really like to see is that we, as a society and as company leaders, would speak up more to really help people understand what matters are all about. I mean, remember I said this rise of populism is so dangerous. It is so bad, but it has reason. It's not those people who vote for extremist parties or extremist people. It's not. We shouldn't blame those people. They are the ones who feel left alone. They are the ones who feel left out. They are the ones who say, man, all those guys are shining and I'm sitting here and don't know what to do and what to eat and how to make a meaningful living. I am not part of that society. Sometimes people ask me when I'm going overseas, they say, man, is Mrs. Mac still going to make it? Is she going to run? Was obviously before that. So she's so well respected. She's so well respected. And what is this extremist party all about? This Nazi party? What do you mean? Yeah, well, this Nazi party. I said, you mean this AFD? Yeah, well, this Nazi party. I said, look, this is not about a Nazi party. This is not a right thing. This is a party which is one below of the established party system. This is where everyone has fallen for some sort, and is dissatisfied with the promises made, and and the promises fallen. So as I said that communists, there is, I wouldn't say Nazis, but there is extremists for all sides. This is what it is, and this is going to be more and more and more people. And people get disgruntled. They can't understand why the rich become richer and the poor becomes poorer. No one explains it to them. They feel left out. And then we have this Internet of Things ahead of us. And then we say, well, there's no NAFTA anymore, TTIP sucks, TTP is nothing, global trade is all bad, we have our own thing, and we care about our own thing. I mean, if someone who is a country where a lot of exports go into, probably you could understand it. But in a country like us, in Germany, which depends the whole world, depends on export. How come that we say we're going to shut down? Just absolutely crazy. And then we say, but now the Internet of Things, fourth industrial revolution, that's going to be great. There is no fourth industrial revolution if the borders are being closed. The Internet is without borders. It's exterritorial. It's one notch above geographical boundaries. And we said actually we're going to go back and have our own little things. And then sometimes even, people think Bavaria should actually be the only one. The only one salvation in the world. And so we need to be mindful that this is not about those people who are left alone. It's about us, the political leaders, the economic leaders, the companies, science, very important. And we explain to people what this is all about and how we can deal with it. I was last Saturday I was in Berlin. There was this Süddeutsche Zeitung forum, quite a good forum. We talked about, guess what, digital age. And then we were talking also about global trade, how important that is for all that digital things. And then we were also saying, I said, look, we really got to be mindful about our society, what we just heard. And so that we need to make sure that we can be fast on one hand side in the clinch of powers between China, the powerhouse of the world of manufacturing, the United States as the economic powerhouse on software, on internet and new cultures. I said, where are we? Should actually be Europe, but there's no Europe. So is it Germany? Well, if it was Germany, it's way too small, just way too small. We don't matter in that world. So I said, we need to really be fast together as a united Europe, and the fast ones need to move fast to stay on par. But we need to find, how it comes, we need to find rules and ways so that the slower ones, the weaker ones, are not being left alone. So I said that we need to find some sort eine Art Grundversorgung, some sort of, basic help. What do I read in the news 5 minutes later online? Yes. Well, Kaeser pledges for guaranteed income. I didn't say that. I didn't mean it. They were completely different. I mean, it's actually nonsense to have guaranteed basic income. So the ones who don't want to work anymore get the same money like the ones who want to work but can't because they just don't have the job. Absolutely not. But you've got to have some social security which makes people also be able to exist when they're old. And then I come back to what I said, ownership. Capital markets are great. Believe me, I can play them up and down and over backwards. But, and they play us too, so don't worry, not one-sided. But thinking about this ownership and trading, we need to make sure that our people, our employees, are benefiting and participating in the value creation of our company. And we need to give them shares for them to have, everything when they retire. And it's the best because, they get money as a dividend and hopefully the value appreciates over time. So this is what we should do. And there's nothing wrong for companies to give that to our employees. But then, how people keep their shares for 30 years and then use them for retirement money, it's absolutely unacceptable that they get the same taxation than the high-frequency traders or hedge funds who trade our shares synthetically and short and long and what have you. That's absolutely unfair. And I like hedge funds because they're really smart people, right? They're really cool people. And there's nothing wrong with them making money. And I would love that they make even more money. But then they need to be taxed twice or 3 times as much as the ones who have the trade. Then we're fine. It's always good. Make money first, be successful, but take people away into business. And the ones who don't care about ownership, but just money, with using their brain, they just need to give a bit more than the ones who just don't have that opportunity. And if you don't do that, there is no industry focus here. I guarantee you, because the society can't accept this splitting of the society. Not everyone is software engineer. Not everyone is like me here in this room. There are people out there who have different thoughts about different things.
Who else has a question?
One more?
Lynn.
As entrepreneurs, should we get more involved in politics?
We need to speak up more. We need to speak up more. We need to dare to speak up more and explain it. It's not that simple, and I understand. I've been doing it quite some time. Time and again, but there's also a big downside. And that's why many of my colleagues just stay put. And the reason is, you talk like this here in this room. Talk to the public. Not everyone's got let's say the power to understand, to reflect and differentiate. So you develop good advice. The first thing which comes back is, hey, why does this guy talk about solving German or the European problem? He better takes care of his own company. He lets people go, he does this, and he does that, and he's coincidental, he does whatever. So it's a very complicated matter, but then, as I said, we cannot make it right for everyone. You just need to make sure that we do it right for the most part. And that's why I just continue to speak up. That's why I continue to also be here with people like you in this room, because you are the ones who understand it. You are the ones who can play both fields. You are so young and so early stage that if you get it right, then my pension is safe. All right, thank you.